I'm proud of you today. You're doing a great job. Let's see who we'll be proud of in this matchup, though. GENG facing off against Space Station Gaming. We have another match to go. One team will drop down to lower as another, carrying on, which you kind of want. So let's see what happens. Lemon and cheese.
Let's go. That's us. And Space Station, third for majors in terms of points. But again, anyone can catch up to them, including GENG, who are tied for fifth. Still just trying to climb in to the hot seat for majors. And after that 3-2 win over SUP, do GENG, are they bringing that momentum, or are they feeling very vulnerable right now?
That is the real question. If you're GENG, you cannot afford to have a slow start like you did against SUP here. Space Station will pick you apart. If you want to be a good Space Station team, you're going to have to rely, I think, a lot on Arsenal really getting in a lot of people's faces and really just let LJ and Hoxer drive the offense. Arsenal here should act as sort of a decoy and really try and pull GENG's attention away.
This is already so much of a faster series than the one we just casted. Such a difference in play styles. Both teams being so quick. Great pass, drop off, stopped. Even with the GENG demo. Here's LJ to the back wall. Arsenal has to cut from the left as Chronic takes it away, dropping it off to Jack. It's the boomer to the back, and it's GENG up 1-0.
How does this one come through? I mean, there's Hoxer and LJ. They both rotate back. Hoxer has 7, like he has a ton of boost, and LJ has plenty of boost, and they just did not expect that type of shot to come through. They left the tiniest gap in the net, and Appjack found it.
Ooh, it's been quick. So is LJ cooking up round number 2? Nolly has to go for a quick challenge. Now is GENG in the driver's seat. As LJ sends it so far from that corner, GENG couldn't follow up. LJ dropping it off the box, almost to SSG. Quick to react, but GENG slow to the pitch as there's your equalizer.
Really like Arsenal's approach here. He sees his 2 teammates in the net, but he sees an overcommit in the corner from Chronic. He drives out into the corner with Noli as well, and they leave that near post open, and Arsenal spotted it, made the adjustment, put that in the open net. So really like that vision from him.
The GENG just leaving that small gap, but it's one that SSG, especially LJ, can step up, take advantage of. Really been liking the way that LJ has been setting up the plays. There's another send away. Too far for Arsenal to follow up, but inch by inch, SSG are taking that. And even wait in the midfield. As soon as GENG try to break out, SSG are quick to respond, just like there, as Nolly has to slow down the play, looking for friends and maybe some boost, because he ain't got none.
It's a scary time. I've been kind of camped out on Arsenal's camera to see if he is sort of facilitating that decoy role. And I would say he's definitely trying to, but he needs to be careful. Make sure he's not trying to do too much with not a lot of boost, because that's a surefire way to leave your teammates in a really bad position here. As Hawks are able to maneuver the ball all the way to safety. Space Station just pressing, seeing if anything opens up, but unlikely. Of course, that GENG structure on defense, so sound.
Yeah, both teams came out swinging with so much speed, and Chronic catches that a little too wide. Nobody was ready from GENG on that opposite lane to kind of keep the rebound play going. Here's SSG knocking at the door, seeing who's home. Chronic needs to follow up this touch. You see Arsenal was hunting for it. Now LJ wants to challenge the corner. Jack pinches it off as the 50 collides now to the midfield. Looks like GENG are just a bit quicker to the pitch to create more opportunities and more goals after that.
So it's an open net. Arsenal actually got stuck here on that GENG side. You're not going to see it in this replay, but he tried to go for a demo and a boost steal. He got neither, and he ends up being one step too slow to making it back to net. And that's what I'm talking about. You don't want to try and do too much with too little, because then if you don't make the play on the back end, that safety net goes away.
And that last series between SSG and GENG, SSG won 3-1, but the lead never got too far away from them up until GENG took a game 3. There was even almost a 2-minute OT, so both these teams have been close. Arsenal looking for bumps. The Jack pops out just in time to save it. SSG almost tied it. This LJ won't be moved from this net. Stoic as Hoxter and friends creative to bait out this defense. Free jumps from GENG, still save. as Chronic follows up to make space.
Really nice ball movement from NG, Space Station, in a really tight spot, because they ended up realizing that they needed to buy time, force GENG to show their hand, and Space Station knows how to approach that GENG side. It's just a matter of, can GENG hang on to them with that defensive approach? And Ali, with that little pre-jump, gave himself a lot of options and covered a lot of ground very quickly to cover up on that really nice Space Station attack.
Lots of bumps too. GENG removed from the play. Nully will just buy time, throw a shot on. Why not? As everyone's respawned now from GENG without too much pressure, they can take some positions on the field, see what they can cook up. It's a long pass from Nully to Chronic with love. And how does SSG stop that momentum? It's touches here and there, but recovery for GENG. Now try to cut through that right side. Jack doesn't get the bump. He actually bumps his own teammate, so GENG look a bit lost in the sauce, but nothing that Nully can't fix up from the midfield, almost to the upper 90, and no second man from GENG to keep it going.
Yeah, apparently Jack, he kind of thought about it and decided, you know what, now's not the time, let that one go, and it actually worked out quite nicely. They did regain possession for a moment. Unfortunately, they can't make the touchback the other way. They make such a disciplined decision to leave a challenge, and then, unfortunately, two people completely miss. Apparently, Jack gets put in a bad spot. He can't make the touch either. SSG slide right through.
And a tie game at the 7-second mark. And Hawkster was almost the fourth imposter in that moment, it felt like. But going for the ball. But Jack looking for the shot. Second
Chronic to
touch.
Nolly.
Chronic backflipping, going to Jack, popping it up.
Oh, hello.
Nolly steps up. Is the net open? It's a little too high. LJ will pop it down to overtime, and just like she wrote last time,
GENG was really hoping that somebody had more than like 20 boost right there. Unfortunately, not able to close the door on this one. Demo in the net. Chronic covering up wonderfully.
That was a 7-second tie by SSG. LJ has to be careful here, and Nully stepped up. Try and punish that. Always trying to take the ball from you whenever it's a heavier touch. Chronic and Jack have to be careful. Demoed. LJ thought he had an open chance to go for the home run. This goes all the way to LJ, taking a shot, and not saved by GENG! Space Station Gaming wins game one.
Arsenal wins a massive challenge in the midfield, and again, apparently Jack, really tough spot to be in, but credit LJ, massive shot. Even then, Appjack almost got to it. A little unlucky with some post interactions there, and it ends up going into his own net. A huge challenge win from Arsenal. That was a massive 50.
Space Station feels like they're setting up really well, especially LJ is like the spark plug to this team. But GENG have been quick with just harassing them and trying to turn the play around. And the fact that SSG, they were the ones who had to come back at the 7-second mark to tie it and then go to OT. I'm glad we picked this series. It's a banger so far.
Yeah, it's a really good opportunity because you get to see kind of SSG. They're a team that will throw caution to the winds a little bit, and you can see what happens right there with that overtime win when they try and make that big risky play, and that's when GENG finds themselves in a lot of trouble. And the other side of that coin is, if Space Station tries to make that big play, you saw GENG get out in front early, right? Because they missed that challenge, they missed that demo, they don't get the boost steal, and then they're just out of position. So it's a real test of risk reward here for Space Station, and GENG are banking on that type of consistency of their approach to lead them to victory.
Now Nelly in the corner seems overwhelmed, goes back to the net, saves it. GENG's defense has been really good so far as Arsenal tucks it in. Oh no, it's Hawkster that gets all the credit. Either way, SSG connecting so well.
Man, that was so smooth from Hawkster. I mean, he just lightly chipped that one around one person on the sidewall, just immediately up off the ceiling, didn't even think about it, just put the pressure on GENG and dots one top left corner to boot. Oof.
Oof, but like in a good way for them, I guess. Off the ceiling, Hawkster showing off his mechanics, and it's just right off the kickoff. He had immediate execution from SSG. As GENG came in flying towards that back wall, and Arsenal is quick to just take advantage of the space on the right side. Hoxer's gonna get overwhelmed there in the box. Arsenal collides just to see if he can give the ball back over, but now it's LJ forced to make a save. Hoxer with the clear that goes to Arsenal. Chronic tries to leave it, and it's so fake. He doesn't even connect with it. Hoxer gets credit.
That's the type of play you love to see Arsenal make. Gets that boost pad in the midfield, has 100, and look at him just show everything to Chronic. Says, look, we're going off the ceiling. Look, we're going towards the net. Look, I'm actually not going to touch the ball at all. And Chronic, he has to respect that jump. He has to jump at it. Must make some type of play because you can't let Arsenal through for free. Unfortunately, it let his other teammate through for free.
Heavy bounce and almost a heavy shot from Arsenal. The threat level increasing for SSG, who are in a solid lead. Their defense seems good so far. Nully able to just get this ball at least in front of the net. But GENG haven't found their moment to strike. Nully's looking for bumps. LJ gets away from it. And GENG hunting like sharks in the water for a mistake, for a moment to shine. Chronic bumps into a defender to slow down the rotations of SSG back to their orange half, giving GENG a chance to just find one. And it's momentum that they're building, but it's the corner, that's all they have. And Jack placement a little too high, but I like the attempt to carve through the left.
They had everything, and they're going to get scored on back the other way. Arsenal, oh, he missed as well, and he will connect off the double tap. He will adjust and put that one away, but oh, GENG, it goes from bad to worse. Triple commit in the net, nobody makes contact, can't make the save, and after you thought you had a for sure, like, cut the lead in half type of goal, apparently Jack ripping one off the backboard. Brutal stuff here in game 2 for GENG.
It's just been really good possession from SSG in these corners. Whenever GENG gets set up there, they're good at clearing, they're good at getting space. In terms of just having threat levels towards the net, they have to deal with so many defenders. LJ has a good follow-up to not let this land in the box, so GENG lost that opportunity, but they'll create more and more. Chronic will be on the left, Jack pops it up, and the first one there is SSG. So this is tough. And now they're maybe even going for a fourth goal. Nully could stop that, and that's pitched in front of the net. Hoxer with a hat trick.
Got to appreciate Hoxer's vision on this approach here. He doesn't have a lot of boost, but he knows that GENG is in a bad spot, and so he decides to continue to follow that play through the midfield, keep the pressure on the opponents. They all lose track of him thinking he's going to leave, and just catches him off guard, goes right over the top of everyone, puts 4 on the board for Space Station. Feels like you cannot lose this one at this point. You've done all the work early. You just hit halfway. You don't even care if GENG scores right now. You know you're going to be able to waste all this time. You should be able to Sunday stroll your way to a 2-0 lead here.
And also SSG, it doesn't take like a million attempts on offenses to generate goals. It's one counterattack, and you find that gap and you execute. And that's that consistency we're starting to see more of from SSG, finishing the Spring Cup in 3rd place. They're a team that you have to watch out for, but it starts with at least ending this series on a high note. And yes, this game 2 is ending on a high note. This will put them on match point unless GENG can do something in the second half, and couldn't direct that towards the net.
You have to hit that ball if you're GENG here. I mean, all the misdirection in the world isn't going to matter at this point if you're not putting the... Look, we definitely caught the defense off guard, and we should be slotting this top left. And it's that type of inconsistency that sort of plagued GENG in the previous regional, where they just weren't executing on some of the more routine approaches on offense or defense. And it will definitely cost them here. And because this is best of 5, you do not have the luxury of taking a timeout to collect yourself yet. That's not an option available to you. You're going to be down 2-0, looking at another deep run in a very dangerous regional. This is the darkest timeline if you're a GENG fan or a player.
Even GENG couldn't pull off the double tap, and even SSG are being physical towards GENG's defense, so they have to keep their eyes on so many places. And with 37 seconds left, GENG can just think about the next game, but having to think about how you're going to reverse sweep this is heavy on the mind when nobody is safe, especially GENG. We're tied for 5th. Now GENG, at least they're going for demos to relieve that pressure so you can start bringing that physicality to the next game and see how you can shake up the structure of SSG.
The only answer is, I mean, they've done a good job pushing this ball to the orange half. It's really just come in that final, press the finish button type of moment as SSG actually run into each other here, and nobody matters. Everything will touch the floor. A comfortable game 2 win for SSG. Huge opportunity here, cementing a very quality finish for SSG, gives them an excellent look at the major. If you're GENG, you're thinking, guys, we all had 3 shots and none of us scored them, and sometimes we even missed really good opportunities. So This is a tough mental hurdle to get over in fairly short order if you're GENG.
Well, in your Mobile One high-performance replay, not favoring GENG, unfortunately for them, SSG, especially Hawkster, next-level mechanics. You had stealing shots. You had the fake with, I think it was this teammate, I forgot who, I think with Chronic. Either way, Leave. This was a really fun series so far. What do you...
Yeah. You want results? I got results. We got them right here. We got FaZe Clan and Furia going 1-1 right now. We got Coin G2. I don't know what I'm doing. Koi and G2 are currently 1-1 right now as well. That's right. Koi got a game off G2. Okay. And then Complexity Optic, based off the trend, you'd think would be a 1-1. It's not. It's Optic Gaming up 2-0 on match point.
Hey, yo.
Yeah. Complexity is up 1-0 in game 3, but it is still match point with 4 minutes left, so anything can happen there.
I'm just wondering, are Koi making a run? Should I hype them up more in the pre-show?
Did we find our surprise Hogan mode in a world where we thought NA had none?
North American mode activated. Maybe Complexity boomed, deactivated because they're on match point against Optic. So quick offense there for SSG. A 4-0 game 2, where it's not just GENG losing to themselves in terms of misexecutions on the offense, but Hawkster on fire today. Not just solo plays, but the way he plays off of his team, too.
Yep, it's all about that positioning. He's a great mind for where he has to be on the pitch. Excellently placed shot from apparently Jack, smothered away. LJ covering up nicely that top right-hand corner as this is a dangerous approach. GENG, all the space in the world, you can't miss that, and Chronic will finally score.
They can't, and they won't miss that. Jack has, he said in the interview he's been playing on fire. He was the first goal of GENG when it came to the start of the series. And he just puts in so much effort in the way he set up his team. It's beautiful to see GENG not give it up. And we got to see that consistency where SSG have just been better at the way Arsenal is flying like a bird, almost to the back of the net. Good stop by GENG, but still stuck in that blue half. Hawkster was surprising them. LJ looming in the box.
Oh boy.
But while SSG are so extended, GENG find their moment to counterattack, but SSG bought time.
It's that solid positioning from Arsenal. That's what he should be doing right there in the midfield. You keep your eye on where GENG could be moving the ball and just make sure that you can get in there and put a body there. That's all he's got to do, and let his 2 teammates worry about everything else.
All right, LJ starts that drive. Demo. Possession for SSG, double demo. Hawkster loses the challenge to Nully, and this goes all the way back to the orange half. So that momentum, that aggression generated from SSG, you go back to square one. Chronic 50 stalls. Jack is able to sort of have a handle on this. Now bumped off the play. Everyone thinks there's a moment to get on this ball, and SSG almost were able to expose a mistake, but it's GENG putting on the threat levels. Still fighting for possession. Chronic still has the boost, but couldn't get above that defender. Nully demos. And that's not an offense that they can pull through either.
GENG really starting to flex that passing game, though. You're seeing these deep crosses all the way across the field, and then you get a shot like that where it just goes right down, straight towards the net. That type of approach where you throw that ball left and right for a few attempts, and then bang, you throw one straight at the net. Sometimes people just don't see it coming. They get too locked into the passing plays. SSG is just colliding with everybody here in this corner, and Chronic will get the ball out to the safety of open ground in the midfield.
But GENG are keeping a better eye on SSG, the way that they go for fakes and slow down the play. GENG almost got lost in the sauce, trying to defend that right post. Their counterattack is quickly sent away. It takes a lot of attempts for GENG to get it through, it seems, just based on what I saw from game 2. They got the 1 goal, but you're not cozy if you're GENG. You have to pull off the reverse sweep, but it starts in game 3. Shot from Jack off the back wall,
nice.
unprotected. LJ pre-jumps, and he saves, and Hawkster makes the space.
Great job from Hawkster to come through and support his teammate and almost slipped one through the middle of the net. As apparently Jack just has to buy a little time. Arsenal, that's where his value is. All that speed as well can get right back into the mix of things in a short order. But GENG still moving this ball wonderfully, and SSG doing an excellent job to keep them at bay.
GENG are being so creative. It's these heavy bounces in the box that are just so hard to get on top of before SSG contest the 50. Now Arsenal up against Chronic, but it's a heavy shot that Arsenal couldn't follow through. But he's up in the sky against Jack, who stuffs it into the corner. And GENG just have to not choke.
Yep.
So I don't know how possible that is, but we'll see.
Incredibly possible for a team like GENG. Unfortunately, they missed the ball finally. That should buy a lot of time for SSG to really push forward and try and make a solid counterattack here. This plays like that from GENG are what SSG should be trying to feed on, because now you got an opportunity to gain space. You have to make the most of it.
Back pass there from Nully. Arsenal found his moment to harass, and GENG find themselves with backs against the wall. LJ bumps to Hawkster. 50 seconds for SSG to look for a response. It's taken a lot of time despite just a dominant game 2. And the demo Nully pops it up to the back wall just when you thought SSG laid down the red carpet, and more demos come in as SSG want to keep them locked in that blue cage. SSG, LJ, really good guidance with that left side, and the challenge pops it all the way back. 24 seconds for GENG to buy and to waste, but they don't have the ball, and SSG keep producing opportunities, but GENG's defense is just too good.
Well, it's so awkward for SSG right now. They need some possession, but they don't have the strongest position. They're going to have to fight real hard.
Oh yeah, a couple seconds. Jack going for demos. GENG wanting to land this on the ground. And there it is. Worth the insurance goal. Either way, GENG are alive.
Man, felt like there was not necessarily high quality opportunities for Space Station, but you're like, okay, they're in control of the game, right? And then you saw that one mistouch, the miscommunication between LJ and Hawkster about who should be going for the ball, when it just went all the way back to that orange side, and you were like, oh no, that one's probably over, because they're not ready for the back pass, and they just gave up all the space. So GENG find a way back, and in stunning fashion, really. This was the keep Space Station honest type of game, where you just throw them towards the net and say, look, you got to make the stops, right, Leaf?
Right. You said it, so I'm assuming it's right.
Thank
you. To be honest. Updates, if you guys want here. We still have the FaZe Furia game in overtime right now, so it's still tied 1-1, 2 minutes into overtime. Exciting match. G2 is now up on match point against Koi, and Complexity do garner himself a win 4-1 over Optic in that game 3, so they keep themselves in the game going into that game 4.
We were talking to Cheese about our Complexity boomed or not, what's happening. They fell out early in the Spring Cup, but they got to go back to that top 3 material that we know.
In short order. No time to waste either. You don't want to play against anybody in that lower bracket. Doesn't matter who they are. You can rattle yourself quite quickly, but getting back here, GENG, you really just want to see that same level of offensive pressure come back. They don't care how many shots it takes to crack the net. They just want to be the ones controlling pace of play.
Yeah, SSG definitely fell off in game 3 when you thought this was going to be a sweeperoo of a series. They 4-0 in game 2, but SSG, they got outshot 11-3. So it's GENG, needing 11 shots to generate 1 goal, but it's SSG not finding those opportunities the same way they did in game 2.
That's that very controlling type of play style that GENG are so good at. They identify space very well. They buy time. Their challenge game is generally solid enough to at least be able to keep things in at least a neutral ground, really prevent teams from finding strong counterattacks, and that's what keeps them in games for so long. It's not always going to be a blowout offense for them, but when it is,
just in like the last series when they faced it, was never really that big of a blowout. And it was GENG who kind of came back 3-0 in game 3 to make the series go slightly longer. It's the only game they took. GENG, will it be more? Can they hit the high score of 2 games against SSG?
Ooh. I thought that was the juiciest redirect ever.
Oh, okay.
It was unfortunately wide.
I was looking at my notes, so you scared me.
I'm sorry.
Well, everyone's scaring each other. They're demoing. Nully wanting to connect with Chronic. LJ with the 50 pops up, but Arsenal's the one that makes sure it doesn't land in front of the net. I like this harassment. I like GENG taking up more real estate in this economy. It's rare. And Nully crashes and burns into the defenders, and it looks like
nice
SSG
job.
can break out.
Arsenal very smart there. He had no boost, but he really positioned like he was going to flick that ball upfield and got GENG to give him the space. Little stutter step, tries to go behind Chronic. Right on it, but he's got Hawkster with him. And again, that Hawkster positioning where he just waits for plays to develop and lets Arsenal work a little magic, gets the job done.
And Nully, I guess, thought that shot was going high, and when you got 2 of your teammates failing to save and you're the last one who has to come up with something, you're not going to be sitting where your other defenders are. The fact that all 3 of GENG were there and weren't able to stop it, had no space to work with, SSG execute at a moment they needed to the most, especially when they got shut out in that last game. What else can they do? You need more insurance, especially against a team like GENG, who have definitely crept up on you in the series.
Yeah, you get the pressure put on you, though, on the other side of the coin if you're GENG here. You know that you drove pace of play, and you started off this one quite well, but you've conceded now, and Space Station knows that they don't have to force anything. They will turtle up to some degree. You're under halfway. All you have to do is make sure you don't make any stupid decisions, and that's going to put a lot of pressure on GENG to get quite creative on the attack and start making really nice shots on target or getting physical and trying to pull themselves out of position to make something happen. GENG is the one that's got to accept all the risk here if they want to stay alive.
GENG were demoing SSG, and they came back and demoed, and Arsenal can't get the second touch. As GENG closed that right post very well, but it's LJ there, and Arsenal with the demo, and the net is open.
That is what Arsenal is also good at. You forget he was on one of the most demo-heavy teams sometimes, but he still got it, and LJ absolutely crushing Nolly on that challenge. Brutal stuff.
Dunkaroo, minute 34, 2-0 for SSG. And GENG thus far haven't been able to score a whole lot against SSG. Not more than 1 goal. So do they have what it takes? Jack felt good about his play, and he needs to hype up his team, and that was almost a moment that GENG could have capitalized on the smallest of gaps. Someone just got shoved. Jack to Chronic. The post! The post had it coming, but GENG needs to hit those.
#1 defender in all history, all time. The post and crossbar does another great job if you're Space Station Gaming. You love to see it, and if you're GENG, you are devastated. You don't have a lot of time to work with. You were about to have a whole minute to find 1. Now you've got 45 seconds to find 2.
And GENG have only scored once all series. So what's up? Have we updated the OS? We've at least uninstalled some players with some demos, but now what? What are we cooking? Arsenal just kind of slow down the ball in front of the net. Chronic just passing it to the enemy team. LJ doesn't get the second touch, so at least GENG salvaged that opportunity. But SSG, even though they got outshot 11-3, have clearly learned from that and have created so many more opportunities.
Well, Lemon, I will say you picked correctly here. Oh, and Arsenal. Oh, you love that. You love that. Such
Not if you're GENG.
You hate that if you're GENG. This is the worst. This is terrible. But it's amazing if you're a Space Station fan. He even let him come and cool shot him into the net. But boy.
Said, end it quick.
End me.
8 seconds left. That will be SSG taking the series. It's looking worse and worse on the bracket, but 3-1 for SSG. Moving on to the semifinals to face the winner of Optic and Complexity, which is still going down. Complexity taking a game 3 there, but we've always talked about the inconsistencies of Gen G and with so much how high the stakes are for this invitational especially. It's a buff, it's pressure, it's weight on the shoulders of everybody, but SSG proved that they will not be shaken, they will not be stirred. They'll take the series dominantly.
Wonderful show from Space Station Gaming. Earlier on, in this series, it was a lot. It took some amazing plays to find their way through some of that Gen G attack. Unfortunately, Gen G ended up earning one back there in Game 3, but ultimately, Space Station not to be denied. They were able to execute. They had that great disruption from Arsenal throughout the entire series, made it as difficult as possible for Gen G. And again, similar to the last regional, Gen G kind of beat themselves every now and again. They did not quite execute in spots where they needed to be executing. You see that missed save? There were a couple missed shots in positions where they really need to be getting saves or shots in the back of the net. Gen G just did not have the ice this series. It cost them big time.
Well, Space Station might be going for another deep run. Third place in the Spring Cup to going to the semifinals. Not dropping too many games. 3-0 to Dig and 3-1 to Gen G. SSG looking good.
Optimal outcome for Space Station